Good morning students. So let's start for today lecture local classes in C++. Today we will discuss local classes and nested classes in C++. And these two are the last topic of unit number 1. So with these two topic we will finish unit 1. So what are the local classes? Local means something local. So a class declared inside a function becomes local to that function. So we can also declare a class inside a function and that is known as local class. We can also declare a class within the main function. Till now we declare a class outside the main functions. They work as an global data type. But we can also declare a class in a main function in case of some requirements and any other function. The function may be main function or any other function in which we can declare a local class. The scope of the local class is local to that function in which it is declared. So remember, a local class can be accessible only within its defined function. The object of the class can be created and used within the function only. Some features of local class. A local class name can only be used in its function and not outside the function. Okay, so we can use it only within the function. Second, the method of a local class must be defined inside it only. Like ordinary class where we prefer to declare the method outside the class. A local class should contain all its method within itself. A local class cannot have static data members, but it can have static functions. Because if we define some static data members inside a local class, it violates the rule. Like a static has its life throughout the execution of the program, while a local class has its life only throughout the execution of function. So it violates, or these two things are contradictory. That's why we don't support declaration of static data member inside a local class. So here we have an example of a local class in a function. So here you can see class, local class. It is just like any ordinary class. It has private data members. It has public function. Here we have two functions, get data and display data, just like any other normal class. So we have declared two objects L1 and L2 for local class in the function. L1.getData, it set the value of number as 5, and then we have another function display to display the value of n. But remember one thing, if we declare if we use another object L2 outside the class, it will produce an error. So these are about the local classes. So remember, local classes are the member of a function. Next is nested class. A nested class, nested means when we have declared anything within the same another type of variable, or you can say like if we declare an array within an array, or if we declare a structure within any structure, we call it nested. Or if we declare any if statement within another if statement, it is known as nested if. The same way, a nested class is a class that is declared in another class. Of course, this term too has the same meaning. A nested, a class within another class. So a nested class is also a member variable of the enclosing class. A nested class is just like any other data member of the class. and it has the same access rights as the other members in that class. The members of an enclosing class can access member of a nested class according to usual access rules. So let's see an example of an nested class. Here we have two classes, class A and then class B. Class B is defined inside the class A. And generally we define this class in the public domain so that we can use its function outside the class. So class B is just like any ordinary class, private number and then public, different functions like get data, then put data. So these functions are used to get the value and then to display the value. So there are a need to define nested class sometime. Like if we want to declare a student class, then to store date of birth of a student, we need another class like day, month and year. So that can also be another class. So it's very frequent or very common to use a nested class. So you can see cout nested class in C++. It is for the demo purpose, and then in the next line you can check how can we create the object of a nested class. B OB, but this is not sufficient. We have also right to name of its enclosing class. So that's why we write A scope resolution operator B. Then we create an object of type B. So here we are telling B is a member of A and we are going to create an object for B. So we can use its object just like any ordinary objects like OB get data, then OB put data. So only difference is just to use the scope resolution operator with the class name. And here you can see this is another use of scope resolution operator because we attach two classes with the help of scope resolution operator here. So you can understand very well the nested class is a class within another class, while local class is a class within a function. Otherwise they are just like ordinary classes. We can create objects for them, we can use object for them like any regular class. So students, with this we have completed unit number 1. Let's discuss or revise all the concepts for this unit. So let's switch to our very first, this is the first slide. This is the photo of developer of C++. So we are going to revise whatever we have read till now. So what is C++? C++ is a middle level programming language. I already told you we can do low level programming in C and C++ as well. So it's known as middle level programming language, and it runs on variety of platform. It is the biggest advantage of C++. It is portable. You can run it on different number of operating system, different type of machines. There is a very less modification in these programs on different operating system or on different machines. So and C++ gives programmer a high level of control over system resources and memory. That's why it is able to work low level programming also. So I have already told you that C++ is generated with the concept of classes. Developer want to include the concept of classes in C. C is a very successful language and it's very easy to learn and has enormous capabilities. That's why he wanted to extend it with classes and programmer use the feature of Simula so that he can make it some object oriented programming language, and that's why it is known as C++. Why we use C++? It is user friendly, very easy to learn, use and debug. Then portability, I have told you we can run its program on different operating systems and different hardwares, like you can run on micro, mini, mainframe. Then application, it has its application in diverse areas. I mean, you can write operating system, you can write GUI or some embedded system in C++ easily. Then reusability, a same code can be used in different programs again and again. Similarities, it is very similar to another popular language, so it's very easy to learn C++, and once you get familiar with C++, you can easily learn other languages also like Java. Very powerful, very fast, excellent control on the computer hardware. And then low level features like shift operator, AND operator and register storage classes. Next, applications of C++ programming language. It is used to run simple program, or we can use it to teach and learn the programs, you can say different things about the programming, to understand the logic of programming. Then application software developments, then programming languages development, I mean you can develop different languages in it. Then games development, C++ is extremely fast, that makes it best for the development of. So we can develop different games in C++ easily. And next, embedded system. You all know embedded systems are, you can say, specially designed programs that are used to support a particular hardware. I mean software for MIR machines, for robots. These are the embedded system. Next, the object-oriented programming features of C++. We all know C is a structured programming language. But C++ although have the same features like C, but its programming approach is different than C. Here we use object-oriented programming features. The concept of writing a program in C++ is totally different than the C. Here we start thinking in terms of objects, and objects are very similar to the real words. So it's very easy to develop a program in C++ language. So what is OOPS? OOPS means creation of objects. Objects which has properties, which has some characteristics, and then we can also define different functions performed by that objects together with its property. Basically here we bundle together properties and functions in a single case. This is OOPS. In real life also we think in terms of objects. So there are few standard concepts that are the foundation of object oriented program, and these concepts are about class, objects, abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance and polymorphism. So first thing is class. A class can be defined as a scheme that describe the properties and behavior that object of its type support. So class is actually a blueprint. A class actually don't have any memory location and don't have any data to store. There is no memory location is allocated to class. Class just define the layout, the structure of an object. So class is actually like a data type. We can define different objects of type of a class. So next thing, object. Object are the things which get memory to store its data member, its variable. That's why they are known as basic element of object oriented programming. And here both data and function are bundled together. So we can say an object is an instance of a class. So now let's understand the concept of class and objects with a diagram. This diagram is defining a class bird, and we can say all birds have the properties has wings, and the function they all can fly. So here class bird define a set of some objects which has wings and can fly. Like there are different birds, parrots, pigeon, sparrow, they all have wings and they all can fly. This is the prototype of bird. And then we can define the different type of birds like parrot. Now parrot is an instance of class bird. It has all the properties and can perform function of class bird. And we can have different instance of class birds, like we can define bird, parrot, sparrow and pigeon. It automatically defined that sparrow has wings and it can fly. Now what is abstraction? Abstraction is a concept in which we hide details of anything. I mean, we did not give detail, we just give a layout. We just tell that this particular thing will perform this task. Like if we buy a washing machine at home, we need not to understand the actual functioning of a washing machine. We just need to understand how to start it, how to set the program, how to load the clothes, and how to put washing powder in it. Now this is sufficient to operate a washing machine, and we need not to understand the how they built it or how washing machine takes the water, how it clean the clothes. So this is abstraction. Abstraction refers to provided only pertinent information to the outside world without giving the details. So it's actually hiding the background detail or implementation at the initial stage. So in C++, we don't discuss the process or the solution of a problem initially. We just discuss about the problem, what we need to do, rather than how to do, because it helps us in understanding our problem in a better way. First, we need to understand the problem, and then we should move forward to find its solution. And this is known as abstraction. So abstraction helps us to concentrate on problem specification rather than actual solution. Okay, next is encapsulation. Encapsulation is process of wrapping data and methods in a single unit, and we see classes do it very well. In a class, we wrap data and function together in a single unit. It is useful in hiding the data from the outside world. I mean, in a class, uh, we have private portion where we store our data, and the private portion cannot be accessible outside the class. So other portion of program could not use or could not access or see a data of a class, and in that way we can implement data hiding. So encapsulation is actually a mechanism to perform data hiding. So while working with procedure language, we, it is not properly defined which function work on which variable. But in OOPS, we clearly define data and operation in a single unit. And this process, I mean covering data and operations in a single unit, is known as encapsulation. And it leads us to data hiding or abstractions. Now next is inheritance. What is inheritance? Inheritance is process of designing a new class from an existing class. We all can understand the English meaning of inheritance. Inheritance is getting something from your parents or from your forefathers. So same way we use concept of inheritance in OOPS. Inheritance is also inheriting property of a class into another class. It defines is a relationship between classes. The existing class is called as base class and new class is derived class. Sometimes we also use parent class word for the base class and child class for derived class, because a child inherits the properties of a parent class. So inheritance allows us to define a class in terms of another classes. We need not to write the functions or data of the base class again in derived class, because it inherits those things automatically. And then we can extend the capabilities of derived class by writing new features or by defining new data in it. So new class is a superset of base class because it has all the features of base class plus its own features. Like we can define car as a base class, where we can define the engine, the chassis and its four wheels, etc. And then we define another class of like Swift, which has car as its base class, and then we can define its engine has this much power, so it can have its own features also. So one of the useful advantages of object oriented program is code reusability, and this can be implemented easily with inheritance. I mean, whatever function or whatever methods you write in base class, they can be automatically used in derived class. There is no need to write them again in derived class. So it reduces code size and also helps in decreasing the programmer's efforts. Now next, the ability to use an operator or function in many forms. It is polymorphism. Poly means many, many forms. Here we use polymorphism for operators and functions. Like we can have same function name 4 different activities. Although these activities are similar in one way or another way, we can use same operator to perform different type of operations. So by making single function or an operator functioning in many ways is called polymorphism. Like we can take the example of plus. Plus is used to add two numbers, and we can add any two integers or one integer and one float, and then two float number by using same operator, same symbol plus. So this is polymorphism, and this type of polymorphism is defined inside the compiler. It is default set in the polymorphism. But if we want to extend the capability of this operator plus, we can do so in C++. We can define plus operation to add to complex number also. We can write code for the procedure of adding two complex number on operator plus. So in case of polymorphism, we either use same function symbols in operators or same name in case of functions. All these functions have same name. Okay, if they have same name, how can we differentiate with them? All these functions are either different in the data types of arguments or in the number of arguments or in the order of arguments. Now some basic things about C++ character set. So we know we can use English language alphabets in C++, then digits, then some special symbols. Okay, C++ is case sensitive, means it takes different meaning for small and uppercase letters. Small a is different than capital A, and characters are stored as integers in memory. We can use 0 to 9 of decimal number system, and we can make any combination of these digits. Now there are different special symbols in C++, and they have usual meaning just like in our real life, like arithmetic statement, plus to add the numbers, then less than, greater than, different type of brackets. Now white spaces, actually they perform special functions, some special task. Next is keywords. Just like language, we have some reserved words in computers language also, and they have some predefined meaning, and we can be use them only as their intended meaning. So that's why they are known as reserved words. And remember, we cannot overload them. We cannot redefine them. So here is a list of some keywords. Next, comments. We can use comments in our programs, and comments are not executable by the compiler. They are simply ignored by the compiler. We use them to describe the logic of the program or some statements. And comments also have a very special use in case of debugging. Sometimes we want to hide a particular code so that we can see the effect of other portion of the code. So that particular portion can be put inside comments. It's a very different use of comments, but it is very helpful in debugging. Next is identifiers. Identifiers are names of every program element, and it can be constant, variable, function, labels. There are certain rules, and these rules are mostly same in all the languages. Then variables, the element whose value can be vary in a program. Next, constant. These are the program element which cannot be changed during execution. And data type. Here we define every variable or constant with data types so that we can get idea about the number of bytes to store it or the range of values that can be assigned to these variable or constant. Then modifiers, we can modify the data types. Typecasting, we can convert some data types into another. So accessing member of a structure, we can access member of a structure by using dot operators, and same way we can access member of a class outside of class with dot operator. Then static data member, these are the data members which has their scope inside the object, but they have their life throughout the execution of the program. So whenever you enter next time into a class, you will get the previous value of the data member there. And static variable are always defined outside the class. Same way we can define static member function. A static member function can use only static data function. So now local classes, these are the classes which are defined inside a functions, and nested classes, a class inside another class. So our first unit is completed, and in our next lecture we will discuss unit number 2. Thank you, students.